In this episode of the Decluttering Club podcast, I want to talk to you about why you may want to change your mind about why you're holding on to things. Take a listen.
You are listening to the Decluttering Club Podcast. I'm your host, Sarah Mueller, and it's my mission to equip women to declutter their homes, their time, and their lives so that they can cherish what truly matters.
You are listening to the Decluttering Club podcast, episode number 38. Today, I have some news that may be hard for some of you, but stick with me because it has a happy ending. All right, so I am recording this podcast on a day when it's like 25 degrees outside, and we are getting tons of snow. So I think we probably got about 4 inches of snow overnight, and it's still coming down, you guys. And this is not good news for me because I live in a house and we have a very long driveway. My driveway is probably at least 100 feet long. I don't know. I'm not very good with measurements, but it's freaking long. It's very long. And, I have 4 boys, but none of them are home at the moment. So my oldest son moved out. My second son is away at college. My third son and my fourth son are at their dad's house. So I am here all by myself, and I was left with a driveway that I really couldn't, I couldn't leave unshoveled. And so, in the past, I would have sent the kids out to do the shoveling or the snow blowing. We do have a snow blower too. I would have sent them out, and they're amazing at it. They're really, really happy to do it. But of course, none of them are home. And this is not a task that I can leave because it's going to be super cold the rest of the week. So if I leave it here, like basically I'm going to be completely stuck at home. And it's just not an option, right? And unfortunately, I don't have anyone lined up to plow for me. So I was left with one option and one option only, and that was to do the shoveling myself. Now, luckily, I'm able to do that. And I went out this morning and I did the shoveling. I did most of the shoveling. Now it's still coming down, and there might be some more shoveling in my future. But what I want to share with you is that I could be disappointed. I could be sad. I could feel sorry for myself that my kids are not here to shovel for me. Right? That is absolutely valid. And I think everyone would sympathize with me. But you know what? I want my kids to move on, right? I want my kids to grow up and do other things. That is the way it is supposed to work. And if I realize that, if I'm on board with that, then what does that mean? That means that I'm probably going to have to deal with the shoveling myself, right? That is just a side effect of my kids growing up and moving on. Right. And so that's what I want to talk about today, because I hear from you all so often. You say things like, oh my goodness, it's so sad that, that my kids don't want my stuff. It's so sad that I can't, that I'm not doing this hobby anymore. It's so sad that we moved. And I feel that you all are really stuck in this place of wishing that things didn't change. But here's the truth. Things change, right? Things are changing all the time. Now, what does this look like? It looks like babies growing up into little children and then big children and then eventually moving out. It looks like people moving from place to place, right? Most people don't stay in the same house forever and ever and ever. It looks like, your body looking different at age 50 than it did at age 20. Shocker. But we mourn these things and we're surprised when it happens and we're really frustrated. What else does this look like? This looks like you getting new hobbies, right? You have something new that you're interested in, and you also probably don't have the exact same hobbies that you did 10 years ago, or even maybe 2 years ago, 1 year ago. Your taste, your priorities, your attention, where you want to put your time and attention, it's going to change. Your needs are going to change. But I think we forget this, and we really just kind of think the good old days, that was the way we wanted it to be, and it should be that way. Well, I'm telling you, it isn't. It's not supposed to be that way. And as long as you wish it were like that, you're going to cause yourself a whole bunch of suffering. Your kids are not supposed to follow in your footsteps exactly. They're not supposed to want all of your heirlooms and treasures. They're not you. You weren't your parents, right? And your kids are not you, and we really wouldn't want them to be. All right. I really want you to sit with that, because when you can come to terms with that, when you can accept that, it is so much easier to let go. Right. And it's going to happen whether we like it or not. This is the truth, right? People are going to move on. Our bodies are going to change. We're going to get older, whether we like it or not. But when we can come to terms with that, then it makes the emotional letting go so much easier, right? And that is the whole core of the decluttering challenge, of the struggle to declutter. If you were attached to something, then you're not going to have a hard time letting it go. You're going to be like, bye-bye, out of here, right? But it's the attachment. It's what's going on in here, which is what makes it really challenging, and what makes you want to hold on to things after they have served their purpose. Right? It's really, really important. And we can even take this to the extreme. Okay. People are supposed to die. Every single one of us, none of us are getting out of here alive. None of us. And so that is a natural part of, the way that life works. Right. And so again, what this means is, if we are aware of this, if we accept this, if we're okay with this, and again, we don't have to love it. I'm not saying you have to love it, but if you're okay with it, you're going to be willing to let go of the old things. Now, it doesn't mean that you're not sad. Of course we're sad. When we lose someone, of course we're sad. Of course I miss those sweet little babies that my kids used to be, especially when they're giving me a hard time. I'm not saying that we shouldn't be sad, but I'm saying don't let it become something that makes it so that you are trying to get back into the past. You're trying to get back to the good old days. It doesn't work, first of all, right? We know that. But more importantly, it's not the way that things are supposed to work, right? And when we are super focused on the past and what used to be, we are missing out on the present. And I'm telling you, there's all kinds of good stuff going on in the present. And I don't care where you are, how old you are, what's going on in your life. There are things in your life right now that are wonderful and beautiful, and also perhaps tragic and challenging. But that's the human experience. We want to live for that. If we are saying, I don't want that hard stuff, right? I don't want that. What we're also doing is we're saying, I don't want the good parts either, right? You don't get the good without the bad, right? And so what I offer to you is, instead of saying, I wish it were easier, I wish that this wasn't so hard, I wish that we could stay the same, I wish that my kids wanted all of my heirlooms, okay? I wish my kids wouldn't grow up, right? Let's not say that. Instead, let's say, I wish I were stronger. I want to get better at this. How can I handle this challenge in a better way for me, right? Because then we can handle anything. I promise you, hard times are going to come, right? We're going to have challenges. It's not all just sunshine and daisies and rainbows, right? But we want to be here for the good and the bad, right? Because if we say no to the bad, if we say no to the hard stuff, we're also saying no to the good stuff. And I don't want you to miss out on any of it. That is what it means to be a human being. That's what it means to be alive. So don't miss out on it, and don't wish that things were different, and don't wish that, that you no longer needed that thing, right? That thing is in your past. Let it go, right? The past is already gone, but you're trying to get back there. So just let that go, say goodbye, wish it well, and focus in on what's happening right now in your life. That's what I have for you today, my friends. Let go. Life is so much easier when you do. I'll see you next week. That's all we have for you today. If you enjoyed this podcast, would you leave us a review? It would really help us get the word out. To start your decluttering journey, go to thedeclutteringclub.com. That is declutteringclub.com. I'll see you next time.